Now, first, Mr. President, allow me to welcome all of the new members who were just sworn in for the first time as U.S. Senators, as well as my friends who were re-elected to this body. We are entrusted with an awesome responsibility to conduct the vital business of this country we all love. We come at it from many different perspectives and backgrounds and geographies, but the hope is that we can come together and get some good things done. I hope that in this new year and throughout the new Congress, the Senate will prove ourselves worthy of the responsibility and faithfully discharge our duties to our states, our country, the Constitution, and of course, the well-being of the American people. But now, sadly, Mr. President, as I address you, this new Congress is under the shadow of a government shutdown. Only one person is to blame for this predicament: President Trump. Democrats made several offers to the president that would keep the government open over the holiday break. We even agreed to Leader McConnell's proposal to pass a clean, continuing resolution to avoid a shutdown, and it passed the Senate unanimously. Every single Democrat, every single Republican was for it. All indications were that President Trump would sign it. But then, hounded by the far right, particularly the radio and TV commentators, President Trump threw a temper tantrum at the 11th hour and demanded more than $5 billion for an ineffective border wall, knowing that it full well lacked the votes in the Senate. After publicly rooting for a government shutdown for months, President Trump finally got his wish. Now, 9 cabinet departments, dozens of other agencies are shut down. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are doing their jobs without pay. Food safety inspectors are running out of resources. Federal courts are running out of money. National parks are suffering. In a few short months, the IRS won't be able to issue tax refunds so vital to so many families. So yesterday, the president invited congressional leaders to the White House. Speaker Pelosi and I sought to have a sensible discussion about how to reopen the government. We proposed 2 bills that separated the wall fight from the government shutdown. Let me repeat that. The 2 bills we proposed separate the wall fight from the government shutdown. You don't have to have one, even if you can't resolve the other. First, a 6-bill minibus to provide appropriations for every cabinet department except Homeland Security. And second, a 30-day continuing resolution for Homeland Security. The 6 bills are not Democratic bills, as I heard some of the commentators, the right-wing commentators say. The 6 bills are the same bills that Republicans, including Leader McConnell, supported in the Senate Appropriations Committee. The CR passed unanimously through the House, through the Senate last year. And 4 of the 6 bills came to the floor and passed the Senate 92-6, the vast majority of Democrats and Republicans being for them. So these are not Democratic bills. They were crafted in a bipartisan way by a Republican-controlled Senate Appropriations Committee and a Republican-controlled Senate. Now, if these bills passed, they'd allow us to continue discussions on border security without leaving large portions of the government shut down. Now, we obviously disagree about the best way to secure the border. We believe the wall is wrong on many counts. The wall is ineffective. Most experts agree with that. The wall is expensive. The wall was promised. The wall, when promised by President Trump, he says it's a campaign pledge he must keep. That was not his campaign pledge. His campaign pledge was to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it, not American taxpayers. So it's not a campaign pledge. The president has no plan to deal with eminent domain. There are hundreds of landowners on the southern border who will go to court and fight every attempt by the federal government to expropriate their land. That will take years. And by the way, The Trump administration has not even spent the border security funding allocated by Congress last year. So, the wall is wrong. It's ineffective, it's expensive, Mexico doesn't pay for it, has no plan to deal with eminent domain, they haven't even spent the border security funding allocated last year. And one more point. To so many Americans, we do not want the wall to be a symbol of America, much preferring the Statue of Liberty be that symbol. The symbolism is bad for the country, for our economy, for our security, for our ability to get along in the world. So Democrats certainly support strong, effective border security. Fencing, drones, technology, roads, what the experts say actually works, not a wall. We totally disagree on that. But even with that disagreement, Mr. President, I repeat, there is no reason to keep unrelated parts of the government shut down because of those disagreements. Today, if Leader McConnell tonight would put the bill that's passing the House on the floor, it would pass. After all, it was crafted by Republicans, especially those on the Appropriations Committee. So they're not opposed to it. So, I asked on multiple occasions yesterday at our meeting, I asked the President to give me one good reason why he should keep large portions of the government shut down while we have a separate debate about the border. He couldn't name one. He kept coming back and talking about the border. I said, no, Mr. President, these 6 bills have nothing to do with the border. Why can't we pass them? Why must we hold millions of Americans who depend on the services of these agencies that are closed? Hundreds of thousands of workers who get paid by these agencies. Why must we hold them hostage? Why must a temper tantrum determine how we vote and what happens in this government? Everyone can shut down the government on anything. Any leader, any president. That's not the way to do things. And so the President couldn't name a single reason that made any sense about why he should keep the other agencies closed, not Homeland Security, but the others. And that is the best indication of why there's a shutdown. President Trump is holding the government hostage over his wall. President Trump is holding the government hostage over his wall, using the well-being of millions of Americans as hostage in a futile attempt to get what he wants, a concrete border wall. So where do we go from here? Well, we have a new Congress. Several new senators were just sworn in. The House of Representatives, of course, will change control, and Democrats will seat a healthy majority. The new House majority is poised tonight to pass the 2 bills we offered the President. The Senate Republicans, Leader McConnell, ought to take it up here on the floor of the Senate. Let me be clear about a few points. The 6-bill minibus is completely silent on the issue of border security. It would solely fund the 8 cabinet departments not named Homeland Security at levels agreed to by both parties and signed off on by the overwhelming majority of Republicans on both the Appropriations Committee and in the Senate. There is absolutely nothing in those 6 bills that my Republican friends oppose. Let me repeat. There is nothing in those 6 bills that Senate Republicans oppose. All but 6 voted for the 4 of them that came to the floor, and every single Republican on the Appropriations Committee, including Leader McConnell, voted for them in the Appropriations Committee. So when Leader McConnell calls this some Democratic proposal, he's absolutely wrong. Leader McConnell, you voted for it. Leader McConnell, you supported it on both the floor and in the Appropriations Committee. It is not a Democratic proposal. In fact, the House Democrats went out of their way to pass a proposal that Republicans supported. And Senators Graham and Moran and Lankford and Murkowski voted for those bills as chair of the appropriations subcommittees. They put them together. So, even if there are disagreements about border security, why not pass the 6 non-controversial bipartisan bills? That's the question I would ask every one of my Republican colleagues. That is the question the American people are asking every one of my Republican colleagues. And above all, they're asking that of President Trump. What's the rationale for keeping 8 cabinet departments shuttered for an unrelated dispute over the wall? There is none. We can continue to debate the best way to secure our border. We have disagreements on those. But let us reopen these cabinet departments and ensure hundreds of thousands of federal workers receive their paychecks. And even more importantly, that these departments get back to work for the American people. As I mentioned, the House will also pass a 30-day continuing resolution for the Department of Homeland Security. Again, there is nothing in that bill that Senate Republicans don't support. The Senate passed it unanimously before Christmas break. The only thing that's changed between now and then is that we will have a House Speaker who will pass this bill as well. And once the House passes these 2 bills, Leader McConnell should put them on the floor, where I believe they will receive strong bipartisan majorities. It's going to be very hard for a lot of Republicans to vote no on the same bills they supported just a few months ago. Now, the leader says he's waiting for White House approval. Well, unfortunately, the White House is all over the map. We don't know where the White House stands on any of these things. Yesterday, President Trump publicly rejected an offer made to Democrats a week ago by his own vice president. There's no telling where the president will come down on any given day. Surely Leader McConnell knows that after passing a CR through this chamber thinking it had the president's support, that if we rely on the president alone, we can be shut down for a long time. At this point, we need to take the lead here in Congress in the hopes that we can show President Trump the sweet light of reason. We've given our Republican colleagues a way out of the shutdown based on Republican-approved proposals. All Leader McConnell needs to do to reopen the government is to bring to the floor the legislation that he and nearly every other Republican senator already supports. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk.